Hello and welcome to the Amity Kramer Show. I am Amity Kramer, and today we're going to talk about the real reason you're not able to keep your house clean, even though you clean every day. I have just read the book Essential Labor: Mothering as Social Change by Angela Garbes, and it led me to think about a number of things, and I wanted to share those with you today. I think this is a great book, and everyone who is parenting should read it. Again, it's Angela Garbes' second book, Essential Labor: Mothering as Social Change. And I wanted to say that I was hooked on this book by the introduction. I was like, yes, this person is saying everything that I believe. It felt so good to read. And I was super excited about it. And so personal story that I'll share more at the end of the podcast is that I read the introduction, was jazzed, and then somewhere in like the first or second chapter, there was just like one paragraph, and it triggered me in a pretty severe way, and I almost didn't read the book. And so I'm going to tell you about that at the end of the podcast when I go into personal story time. But right now, I just want to tell you, I got over myself and I read the rest of the book, and it is quite fantastic. And so there's sometimes I will be reading books and I am like, oh my gosh, if I were to write a book, I would write these things. I would write about these topics. And this book very, very much landed in that space. And so some of the things that are covered that I rant about in my classes are, parenting as a sensual act, just the idea and techniques for slowing down and enjoying parenting. There's even a rant about how youth sports have been industrialized, and that is something I feel is very close to my heart. Expanding the definition of sex, the importance of being with community, even if you're kind of in your messy state, letting people see you in all of your realness. And another topic that is covered is balancing the care work and work that is paid in families. And so this idea that health benefits are often tied to people's employment, and how that is problematic, and how that can be balanced in families, especially if you have one person who is working for a larger company or a company that provides those benefits, and the other person is doing a more potentially creative task or a task that is not valued by monetary value in our society. So I could keep going. There was just a lot of really cool things about this book. Again, I highly encourage everybody to read it, not just people who identify as mother. This is good for anybody who does mothering. And so thinking about nurturing people, caring for children, caring for anybody, it just is a good book. So don't think of it as just a book written for mothers. So that positive blurb aside, I want to tell you something that came up for me about midway through this book. Angela Garbes references Angela Davis, an idea that is in one of Angela Davis's books. And I am often, when I'm reading, I'm listening to books on audiobooks, and I did not have the patience to go back and find the exact quote, but it is in kind of the middle of the book. It references Angela Davis. And I don't know a ton about Angela Davis. I have not read any of her books, and since doing this topic, I've checked out a bunch of her books and look forward to learning more, and definitely did some kind of online reading. But one of the things that was mentioned in the book that I wanted to share with you is this idea of industrializing and optimizing cleaning and cooking tasks and what that would mean. And I was like, oh, could you imagine what it would be if, someone just showed up at your door and was like, hi, I'm here to help you with cooking and cleaning, or I'm here to take care of this. Here's your food for the week. And that didn't have to be managed. If that mental load could be removed or minimized from our lives, especially people that are parenting. And so it got me thinking about, we do not live in a space where that will be industrialized anytime soon. I don't feel like there'll be, friendly government employees sent to care for us. However, it got me thinking about this idea that, every single house should be clean and tidy, and maybe where that came from and how at one point it may have been a little bit more possible and how it's not possible now. And so when I think about even just my upbringing in the 80s, the amount of stuff that was in my house was like minimal, right? Like we had toys, but we didn't have endless amounts of toys and we didn't get things. You got things on your birthday and you got things at Christmas is a holiday that we celebrated where we were given gifts. But other than that, we didn't just like run to the store and buy new things frequently. And I believe, at least I'll say for my family, like, we might stop at the garage sale or go to Goodwill or thrift something. And that's exciting and fun, but it means that we have a lot of stuff in our home that we really don't need. Then there's the idea of like throwaway toys that people get from birthday parties or things that people pick up along the way. And so just the amount of stuff that people have is quite incredible. And every item in your house that you have to manage. And I am not for the minimalist mindset. What was that book on organization that came out that was like, only keep things in your house that bring you joy? And I always used to laugh. I was like, oh my goodness, at that point we had 6 people living in my house. And it's like, if we kept everything that gave these 6 different people joy, we would never get rid of anything. And so I'm not saying that you only need to have like 3 cups in your cupboard. However, considering like, what is the ease of cleaning of these things that you have in your kitchen? Is there a way that you could, whittle down the belongings in your house? This is something that can make things easier to clean. And really, it's a lot about prevention. You might see something that's on sale, but like, do you need it? So thinking about overconsumerism and how that does perpetuate this idea of like having to manage more stuff, and that managing of stuff can mean for a messier house. And then the other thing that I think was kind of interesting is this idea that was in the book of like, how do we help each other? And so if maybe the industrialized cleaners aren't going to come in to help us with everything, how can we work together, right? Sometimes it's very lonely. It's very lonely doing those chores of cleaning or organization. And so might you have a friend that you could team up with and be like, okay, this week we're going to organize. We're going to spend 4 hours organizing my closet. Next week we're going to spend 4 hours organizing your closet. And what would it mean if we did more things like that with each other? Letting our kids play video games or in the backyard or, I don't know, coloring or whatever they do when they are together, and just have parents doing some work, not just visiting or socializing or managing the children. I used to cook with a friend. We used to get together and we would cook, and I'd plan a meal and she'd plan a meal and we'd cook together. We'd spend 4 or 5 hours cooking, and then we'd each split the meals. And so we had things to make and eat the rest of the week. And that was really a lovely thing. We did that for probably a year of cooking together. And it just was our standing date of cooking. Another family I know, they have a barn raising group, and they have a group that's really gotten quite extensive with the projects that they do. And they get, I think there's 5 families involved, and they build decks and put in new flooring and paint and do all sorts of kind of major projects, or maybe medium projects around homes. And it's a way that they've been able to build community and really support each other in this life. And I think that, more of that. Even thinking about the tool libraries. I know in my neighborhood there's a tool library, and I think there's one in South Seattle as well. Just thinking about like, how do we come together and learn to fix things and be in community in that way? It can feel good. It can make the hard tasks of, not having things perfect. It can make them feel better when you're in community, because we all, right? All of our drawers get gunky, right? All of our rugs get dirty. We all have these same issues, and how do you handle them, right? Are you stressed out by cleaning and cleaning and cleaning, or do you just say, the heck with it? I am going to relax and enjoy things. So maybe you're like, okay, we're new in town, we don't have community. I'm not sure where to meet people to do a big group of cooking or cleaning. And so I want to tell you some other ideas that might be useful. One of them is just, getting help that is paid. And so I have a friend that I've known for a long time, and I ran into her at a community gathering a while back, and we hadn't seen each other in years, and she's like, "Yeah, I have my own business," and it's called Mind Your Matter, and she helps people with organization and cleaning out things, and a lot of it is like from moving from one place to another, but she just comes in and helps people. And it's like, "Oh my gosh, you're a doula for people's stuff." So thinking about, there are people that can help and just having someone there to talk to about the items. Sometimes there's an emotional connection to items, and that ability to tell the story can be very helpful before sending something to the Goodwill or to the trash. So, yeah, hiring help. The other thing is like with cleaning priorities. I love Rain City Maids. They do something called priority cleaning, and if there's something that you just haven't been able to get to, consider hiring it out. It doesn't have to be a monthly thing. It can just be a one-time priority cleaning. You write the list of things that you want help with, and they come in and take care of it. Very, very easy. And then I have a couple of ideas that maybe you're like, okay, that's not going to work either, Amity. Here are a few other ideas of how you can get a break from doing the household thing over and over and over, right? When you live in a home, it doesn't ever stop. If you have pets, if you have kids, it just compounds. There's more stuff to do. And so there are a few options that I want to tell you about that can make it seem easier for a week or so. So there are a number of places locally that are family camps. Think summer camp, but for your whole family. This means you would drive an hour or two outside of the city. You would go and stay in you would camp or you would stay in a bunk of some sort, and they provide entertainment. And they provide entertainment for the kids. They provide community and engaging activities for the grown-ups. And at these places, you can either engage in these community activities or you can take alone time. And the food and the thinking and the preparation, the food and the cleanup is taken care of in this community mindset. So these camps are a way where you can meet people. Maybe you won't meet somebody that's in your neighborhood, but you would meet people, and folks go back to them year after year after year, and they really build community with these people, and it can feel like family, something that we're often missing, especially if you're a transplant from somewhere else. So in the show notes, I'm going to put a link to all these things, but there is a place in Seebeck, Washington, and it's called Camp Seebeck. This is, again, it's family camp for the week. My family has gone there in the past. If you wanted to look into this one, you need someone to vouch for you. So send me a message. There is other camps at Econey Ranch. So Econey Ranch is in southern Washington, kind of, I guess, midway through the state in Goldendale, Washington. And this is the sacred land. There is a river that runs through it. They have a garden. They have horses. It is gorgeous. And they have a couple of weeks where there is family camp. And it's a pretty remarkable place. And then there's another camp that is pretty close to Seattle. It's up in Gold Bar, Washington, about an hour outside of the city. And it is called Camp Houston. And this camp it's actually kind of owned by the Episcopal Church, but they offer a number of weekly family camps, and each one has a different theme. But again, if you're looking for, some sort of trip or getaway where you can feel like, I can actually relax and enjoy nature. These don't break the bank because they are all within, driving distance. So check those out. If you are interested, maybe you're like, okay, I want to go someplace that's a little more private, but I don't want to think about food. I remember when I even now, like, you think about, "Oh, let's go on a trip and let's get an Airbnb," and you're like, "Oh gosh, I don't wanna get an Airbnb because then I have to manage the food." And then if you're like, "Well, let's stay in a hotel," it's like, "Oh, but then we have to go out to eat." And I just remember someone telling me, they're like, "You need to go to Sleeping Lady." And Sleeping Lady it's a pretty fancy resort out in Leavenworth, but they provide meals. And so you pay and it's kind of all inclusive. And that is, if you have a little bit more money in the bank, Sleeping Lady Resort is a great way I think they provide 2 meals a day, but it is good for kids. You can just be in nature. You have a place to sleep that's very comfortable. They have a pool and a spa. And then also you just go in and get what you want and leave. And you don't have to worry about paying the bill, or if the child is having a meltdown, you can just step out for a minute. It is very easy to relax there. And the other place that you could consider is Brighton Bush Hot Springs. This is down in Oregon, and it is, I guess it's east of Salem, maybe about 45 minutes to an hour. And Brighton Bush is employee owned, and there's camping, there's bunks. It is just this, again, it's kind of a magical place where they provide 3 meals a day. They've got some hot springs, and it is a place where you can just go and kind of relax and not have to do the mental load of the meal planning and whatnot. I think it's a good option if you're looking for a chance to rest and just get away for a little bit. Again, it's close by, easy enough to get there. I mentioned earlier that I almost gave up on reading this book, Essential Labor. And I want to tell you a personal story about what happened, why I was triggered, and how I moved through my defensiveness. So it's about to get personal. If you do not want to know about my personal life, if you don't want to know about my inner thinking and how I handled the situation, if you want to just keep this relationship professional, turn off this audio right now. Don't listen any further. So if you're brave enough and you want to listen, here's the thing. I was really triggered by something that was written in this book. I think it was in chapter 1 or 2, and so I'd listened to this introduction. I was like, wow, this is amazing. And then there was a paragraph that just set me off. And I don't even remember what the words were, but essentially what I heard, what I interpreted from this one paragraph was that white ladies are awful. And I just want to repeat, that is not what was written. That is what my brain interpreted. And I got triggered. And I just turned it off. I was driving in the car and I was listening to it and I'm like, oh no. And I just turned it off and I shut down. I was just like, and all I wanted to do in that moment was like turn on my favorite music or like check. I was like, what can I check? And I was like, no, I'm driving. I can't check anything. Maybe I could turn on some music. But, my strongest impulse in that moment was to distract and detach. But I was able to stop myself and I was able to take a few breaths and I invited my body to calm down because sometimes that's what I do. Like I can feel that I'm getting tense and flooded. And I'm like, okay, let's take a few breaths. And I just tell my body to calm down. I'm like, okay, this is a chance for me to practice what I preach. Every time I'm working with families, we're talking about defensiveness. We're talking about emotional education. We're talking about criticism. And how do you handle that in a way that provides someone with information and energy to better their life? It is too common and too easy to shut down and detach. And so in this moment, I was able to do it. And I wanted to share a little bit about how this happened. So the first thing I did was kind of think about gratitude. Like, I'm feeling really upset right now. This is a chance to learn and expand and grow. And I am grateful for that. So it's also about expanding my ability to sit with discomfort. And that is good. So I started to think and I was like, okay, this actually isn't about one sentence that Angela Garbez wrote in her in the second chapter of her second book that was offensive to me, right? Like, it was easy for me to, like, tell that story initially, like, "Oh my gosh, this book was so offensive." I was like, "No, actually, I love the introduction. I love what this lady is talking about, and this is not about what this author is saying, this is about me." And so I had to flip it around and say, "Okay, get curious about Amity and what is going on inside." So, I just, like, went down with what emotions. Like, okay, what emotions am I having and what messages is sending? And so I sat with that for a little bit, and I think I was embarrassed. I think I was embarrassed because, this, like, maybe I'm not. Maybe I am an awful white woman, right? What have I been doing lately? Right? So I probably felt embarrassed and a little bit of shame. What have I been doing lately to, to expand my understanding of, racial issues in our current climate, right? And I like to think of myself as, like, progressive. I was like, "Wait, no, actually, Amity, well, like, what have you done lately?" So I was able to kinda get kinda down on myself, and then I had to be like, "Wait a second. This is not a chance just to be like, 'Oh, Amity, you suck.'" It was a chance to me to be like, "Okay, what is more true?" And this is what I ask my clients all the time. Yes, you can see negative things about yourself. That's self-reflection, but that's only part of the story. What else is true? And so I was able to kinda shift it, and I was like, "Okay, here's what I figured out. I'm gonna tell you. 1, Angela Garbez doesn't know who I am. I don't need to take what she says personally, right? She was writing a book. It's not about her. It's, I don't need to take it personally." And so then I was thinking about, okay, like, where does this discomfort come from? Why was I so triggered? And, like, it's because I wanna be seen as good. I don't want anyone to think that I'm a bad person. I want to be seen as somebody who does good in the world. And that's not necessarily a bad thing. But at the same time, I had to be like, Amity, get over yourself, right? I'm not perfect. I'm still learning like everybody. And it's okay. It's okay that I'm learning. It's okay. Like, yeah, get over myself. And then I thought later, I was like, there's actually like truth in this criticism, right? Yeah, I don't do things perfectly, and I can take this as an opportunity to expand what I'm willing to do and reevaluate, reprioritize the work that I am doing. And so it made me think about the fact that in the last year, I have checked out so many books that I haven't actually read. And I had to give myself a little grace because I was like, wait a second, I've actually been wanting to do more and learn more and volunteer in different ways, but I haven't had the capacity. And so this led me to this place where I was like, oh, it's not something that I don't desire to do. It's that I personally have been overwhelmed for the last 18 months, like seriously overwhelmed in my personal life and dealing with a lot of stuff. And that's okay. It's like, wait, no, this is an opportunity for me to give myself a little compassion and a little grace. It's not that the desire is not there. It's that, I'm dealing with some other stuff right now, taking care of my clients, taking care of my family, and that is okay. This is just a phase in my life. And so I know that I will have the capacity to do more later on, and that is good. So, Angela Garbez, thank you very much for the opportunity for me to feel defensive and figure it out. And I hope that me sharing this with you gives you a chance to think about how you might engage with the feelings of defensiveness and use it as a chance to kind of go deeper, to get comfortable with feeling uncomfortable, and also go a little bit deeper to find out what is more true for you. Thank you all so very much for listening today. I hope you have a good week. Bye-bye.